Starting off this countdown, number 10, pursue your passion. Rich people get rich when they do something they are passionate about. And if you don't love what you do, you won't put in the time and effort needed to become successful. Jim Koch traded in a stable job at the Boston Consulting Group in 1984 to start Boston Beer Co., the business that created Samuel Adams' Boston Lager. Koch was driven by his personal love of beer to start the now multi-million-dollar business. The most common thing I remind people of is to only pursue something you love, because a small business is going to be very demanding of your time, your energy, it just eats your life, Koch told Business Insider. And if you're doing something you love, then you will accept and even enjoy that. If you're just doing it to get rich, you're going to lose heart. Number 9, use other people's money. To the average person, the old saying that it takes money to make money might sound like a tired cliche used to justify irrational spending. For the wealthy, however, it's a golden rule. The key is leveraging other people's money to increase your own wealth. Trading time for dollars is a loser's game, especially as technology destroys many jobs that don't require a highly skilled human being, someone has said. Using money from banks or investors and hiring people to work for you is time-tested formula for building wealth. Not to mention the tax laws, which heavily favor businesses. Whether you're fundraising to start a business or flipping real estate for a profit, relying on other people's money to do the heavy lifting greatly increases the return. Of course, it's also riskier than relying on your own funds, but as legendary investor Warren Buffett once put it, risk comes from not knowing what you're doing. Number 8, don't waste money to impress others. Most rich people don't spend their time and money trying to impress others, someone said. They are not in a race. They know they have made it, so their attention is not what others think. In fact, many wealthy individuals wouldn't have become rich if they had spent their hard-earned money buying things to keep up with others. Authors Thomas Stanley and William Danko said much the same thing in their 1996 bestseller, The Millionaire Next Door: The Surprising Secret of America's Wealthy, writing that a couple of key secrets of the country's richest people are living below their means and rejecting big spending lifestyles. Spending money to appear rich before you actually are rich is a surefire way to sabotage your wealth-building goals, so focus on what matters, accumulating wealth in the coming years. Number 7, donate to charitable causes. Wealthy individuals know that donating to charity doesn't only help the world at large, it also helps their finances. If you analyze your tax return rather than take the standard deduction, you can deduct charitable contributions to qualified organizations. The more you deduct, the more you reduce your taxable income. Charitable giving is an excellent tool to mitigate tax consequences, someone said. The wealthy know this, and you don't have to be wealthy to do it. Whether you write a check to your favorite charity or donate clothes you no longer wear to Goodwill, hang on to your receipts and claim your charitable deduction. Or be more strategic with your giving by setting up a donor-advised fund, they continue. These simple low-cost funds are available through investment firms and let you get a tax deduction at the time you set aside money in the account. You can then make grants by following your own time schedule. Number 6, save first, spend later. In Warren Buffett's words, if you buy things you don't need, you will soon sell things you need. This is exactly why most of the rich people save first and spend later. So stop cribbing about your inability to save and get rid of excuses like insufficient income, high expenses, or the no compromise policy on fulfillment of the YOLO, you only live once motto. The key to saving lives is the habit of saving first and spending later. Every month, set aside a part of your income as your savings. It can be 20%, 30%, or 50%, any percentage to begin with. Just ensure to be disciplined and stay true to the habit. And remember that whenever your income rises, increase the proportion of savings, instead of spiking up your spends upon obtaining more money. Number 5, know what you're paying in investment fees. The rich also pay attention to investment fees, something many others overlook. For example, more than half of workers don't know they're paying fees on their workplace retirement savings account, according to a study by the National Association of Retirement Plan Participants. Yet those fees can eat away at your returns. The more you're paying in mutual fund fees or transaction fees means less money in your pocket, someone said. Even small fees can have a big impact. If you invest $100,000 over 20 years and pay a 1% annual fee, your portfolio value will be around $30,000 less than if you had paid a 0.25% annual fee, according to the Securities and Exchange Commission's Office of Investor Education and Advocacy. Check your account statement to see what fees you're paying. If they seem high, the SEC recommends asking whether the cost can be reduced. You also should shop around for accounts and investment firms with low fees, which can help you keep more of the money you worked hard to save. Number 4, pen down your thoughts every day. Before this digital world bombarded everyone's lives, remember the age-old tradition way of journaling each and every day by writing it down with pen and paper? That is in fact amongst the most common habits which many rich and successful people follow. When you write and not type every day, you reflect upon your thoughts, slow down and train the mind to think coherently. This way, penning down your thoughts and experiences each day enables you to reflect on how your day went, what you could have done differently, and what learning got you from little or big experiences that day. It's completely fine if you wish to type an online blog or journal instead of penning it down. Either way, it's all about allowing yourself to reflect upon your thoughts and actions peacefully. Number 3, choose the right retirement savings account. You can earn tax benefits by contributing to a 401k or similar plan because contributions come out of your paycheck before taxes, lowering your taxable income, and the money grows tax deferred. When you withdraw that money in retirement, however, it will be taxed at your regular income tax rate, which is currently as high as 37% for the wealthiest taxpayers. You don't get any tax breaks by investing in stocks, bonds, or mutual funds through a brokerage account. But if you hold these investments for more than a year, they'll be taxed at a long-term capital gains rate, which ranges from 0% to 20%, but tops out at 15% for most taxpayers. The types of investments you have in your accounts can have a dramatic effect on your long-term returns, someone said. Typically, it's best to keep securities such as bonds, mutual funds, and divided paying stocks in tax-deferred retirement savings accounts. Then keep your individual stocks in brokerage accounts. Number 2, they invest. Once building up an emergency fund, people say their clients have organized investment plans, whether it's in stocks, bonds, or exchange-traded funds, ETFs. It suggested setting up a monthly or bi-monthly automatic transfer of cash from your checking account into an investment account. This way you can forget about having to remember to manually invest, and you can then learn to live on the funds you have available. Most of my clients do not miss having that money in their cash flow, and then they can use those invested savings for future car purchases, vacations, or other short or long-term goals, without incurring additional debt, someone said. As a general rule of thumb, you should save at least roughly 20% of your income each month. And what the person said before agrees. This 20% goes towards your saving plans, emergency fund, retirement, and investments. How much you take out of your paycheck to invest depends heavily on your income and investment goals, but getting used to living without that 20% is a good start for both your savings and your investments. Now, coming in at number 1, you can buy an apartment building even if you're not rich. The years since the pandemic started have been a roller coaster. Historically though, real estate investing offers the best long-term returns. Some people have said that they like investing with the company Diversity Fund. They supposedly help you make long-term investments in apartments and office buildings all over the country, and you don't have to be a millionaire. And you can also get started with only $500. You can see exactly which properties are included in your portfolios, like a 200-unit apartment complex in Texas or a 59-unit building in San Diego. And you don't have to be the landlord. Because they know how to ride at the market's ups and downs, they historically have seen annual returns of 17% to 18%, though they can't make any promises. As a partial owner, you can make money on rent payments and when property values go up. Number 10, Truett Cathy under fire by LGBTQ+ activists in 2012. While Chick-fil-A is perhaps best known for its crispy chicken sandwiches, the company is also known for its controversies surrounding LGBTQ+ rights. Chick-fil-A and its president Dan Cathy, whose current net worth is $5.2 billion, were scandalized after the company revealed its support for Christian organizations, such as Fellowship of Christian Athletes, the Salvation Army, and the Paul Anderson Youth Home, which have all held anti-gay beliefs over the years. In 2012, Cathy gave an interview to the Baptist Press in which he said he believed in the, quote, biblical definition of the family unit, that is, that marriage should only be between a man and a woman. Backlash ensued, and while Cathy claimed it was his own personal religious belief and that the company did not have any anti-gay agenda, activists went as far as to boycott the chain entirely. The chain has since stopped donating to these organizations, choosing instead to donate to education, homelessness, and hunger. Number 9, Jack Ma's Ant Group IPO shelved in a power grab. China's financial regulators hit pause in November 2020 on fintech company Ant Group's $35 billion IPO on the Hong Kong and Shanghai stock exchanges, just days before the company was slated to go public in the world's largest public offering. Jack, co-founder and chairman of Chinese e-commerce giant Alibaba, is the largest individual shareholder in Ant Group, an arm of Alibaba that enables online payments and makes consumer loans. The Shanghai Stock Exchange cited significant change to the regulatory environment as the reason for halting the IPO, but offered few additional details, according to Bloomberg. About a week prior to the announcement during a conference in Shanghai, Jack blamed China's financial regulations for stifling innovation. The Wall Street Journal reported that Chinese President Xi Jinping personally killed the IPO in retaliation for Jack's criticism. In late December, Chinese regulators announced an antitrust investigation into Alibaba and recommended Ant Group's self-implement financial regulations amid a larger desire in Beijing to limit technology firms' growth and power. Number 8, Robert F. Smith's massive tax evasion. Smith, a private equity CEO and the wealthiest black man in America who notably paid off student loans for the entire graduating class of Morehouse College in 2019, lost the respect of many when he confessed in October 2020 to an illegal scheme to conceal income and avoid taxes, and paid a hefty fine to settle the matter. That month, federal officials disclosed that Smith admitted to parking $200 million in offshore accounts and criminally evaded paying taxes on it for 15 years from 2000 2000 through 2015. Smith entered into a non-prosecution agreement with the Department of Justice and agreed to pay $139 million in penalties to the IRS, which is the largest tax fine ever. He also agreed to help the IRS reel in Texas-based billionaire Robert Brockman, Smith's former client at Goldman Sachs, and reportedly the initial investor in its Vista Equity private equity firm. Brockman was charged in October 2020 with hiding $2 billion from tax officials in offshore accounts, perhaps the largest tax evasion scheme in history. When asked about the tax matter at a New York Times online deal book conference in mid-November, Smith referred to it as a mistake, saying, "A big part of life is that you make mistakes. You have to in some way clarify them, clear them up, and get beyond them." In late November, Smith's co-founder and close friend Brian Seth told Forbes he was leaving Vista Equity, ending the partnership the two men formed in 2000. Number 7. Eek Batista lost the majority of his wealth. In 2012, Batista was worth an estimated $30 billion, making him the 7th richest man in the world. But when Batista's oil company failed to meet demands and Brazil's economy slid into a decline, the billionaire filed for bankruptcy in 2013. After authorities began investigating why Brazil's top companies had declined so quickly, they charged Batista with money laundering and corruption in January 2017. In July 2018, he was sentenced to 30 years in prison for bribing former Rio de Janeiro Governor Sergio Cabral. Number 6. Leon Black's personal financial ties to Jeffrey. In October 2020, a New York Times report revealed that Black, the billionaire founder of private equity and investing firm Apollo Management, paid disgraced financier Jeffrey about $50 million for personal financial advice between 2012 and 2017. The time period is notable. It means Black engaged in Jeffrey's services long after he was convicted in 2008 of an underage intimacy charge in Florida, and a plea deal worked out between him and U.S. attorneys that enabled Jeff to serve what many believe was a light prison sentence in a county jail. Black quickly expressed regret for his association with Jeffrey since his 2019 arrest, said that Jeffrey never did business with Apollo, and claimed he was unaware of Jeff's alleged intimacy ring of underage girls. Jeff then passed by taking his own life in Manhattan jail in August 2019 while awaiting trial. Number 5. Jacqueline Mars struck another vehicle, taking a life. Jacqueline Mars, the heiress to the Mars candy fortune and company co-founder, was involved in a 2013 car accident that took the life of a woman and an unborn child. The Washington Post reported that, according to authorities, Mars had told a witness at the scene of the accident that she had fallen asleep while driving. Victims in the accident were identified as 86-year-old grandmother named Irene, who was sitting in the backseat, and the unborn child of Ashley Acker Baxley, the driver of the Chrysler minivan struck by Mars's Porsche SUV. 5 other passengers were later treated at the hospital. At the time, Mars was the second richest woman in the US with a net worth of $20.5 billion. Her net worth currently sits at $30.2 billion. She pleaded guilty to a misdemeanor reckless driving charge, resulting in a 6-month suspension of her driver's license and paid a $2,500 fine. The Acker family said that they never wished for Mars to spend time behind bars for the accident. "We have only forgiveness in our hearts for her," Sharon Acker, Ashley's mother, said in a court statement. "My husband and I would like to say thank you to Mrs. Mars for her kindness thus far and hope in time that she will too find peace." Number 4. Luckin Coffee's fabricated revenues. With the goal of growing bigger than Starbucks in China, Luckin Coffee listed its shares on the Nasdaq in May 2019 and proceeded to wow investors with its growing revenues. The Chinese coffee chain attempted to grab market share by offering discounts such as buy one get two free deals. Shares soared, and in early March, Luckin Coffee CEO Jenny was briefly a billionaire alongside Luckin's founder and chairman Charles Liu. In April, the company announced an internal probe found that Luckin's chief operating officer, Jean Liu, along with several subordinates, had faked $310 million in transactions. By the end of April, Luckin chairman Liu was $1 billion poorer. As the stock fell further, his net worth dropped to a current estimated $800 million. On December 16, 2020, Luckin Coffee agreed to pay $180 million to the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission as a result of its investigation into the fabricated revenues. The company did not admit or deny the allegations made by the SCE, and no individuals were charged in the matter. Number 3. Elizabeth Holmes fell from grace after it emerged that her medical startup wasn't everything it claimed to be. Elizabeth Holmes was once lauded as a star on the rise in Silicon Valley. Her blood testing startup, Theranos, gained attention in the early 2000s as an exciting investment opportunity promising to revolutionize the way patients are tested and treated for various diseases and illnesses. By the end of 2004, the company had raised roughly $6 million from private investors, some of whom had personal connections to Holmes. By 2015, she topped Forbes' list of America's self-made women with a net worth of $4.5 billion. However, after concerns about the validity of Theranos technology was raised to the FDA, things began to turn sour for the rising company. By November 2015, Theranos had lost its 2 major partnerships with Safeway and Walgreens. In 2016, the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services concluded Theranos testing might pose a safety risk to patients. After multiple lawsuits, layoffs, and a federal allegation that Holmes had conducted massive fraud, Theranos closed its doors in September 2018, narrowly avoiding bankruptcy. Holmes and her partner Sonny Baldwin were charged with a wire fraud of the Department of Justice, and the trial was set to begin in August 2020. They have both since pleaded not guilty, and on Forbes' list, Holmes' personal net worth is at $0. Number 2, President Trump's tax bombshell. The New York Times achieved in September 2020 what was starting to seem impossible. They got hold of Donald Trump's tax returns, and what they found was rough. Most outrageous perhaps was the revelation that in 2016 and 2017, the billionaire paid just $750 in federal taxes. And for almost 2 decades before that, Trump paid nothing in federal taxes due to massive loans racked up by his businesses. At the time, the Trump Organization claimed most of the Times facts were inaccurate, and that Trump had paid millions in personal taxes to the federal government. But I think we all know that's not true. Now coming in at number 1, Markus Baron, Wirecard and the missing $2 billion. The CEO of German payments firm Wirecard was a billionaire in 2019, but not on March 18th when Forbes finalized the 2020 list of the world's billionaires. In June 2019, news broke that Wirecard could not account for $2 billion of funds. Markus soon resigned as CEO as the accounting scandal struck a blow to the company's stock. Then just a bit later in June the same year, he was arrested and charged with allegedly inflating Wirecard's sales and balance sheet with fake transactions to improve its profile with investors. He denies any wrongdoing and was being held in a prison while Munich prosecutors completed their investigation. The company eventually admitted that the missing $2 billion was likely money that it never had. Wirecard shares took a beating, falling nearly 90% the week after the funds were reported missing. The 7% stake in Wirecard, had he held on to it, would have been worth just $4 million as of late December 2020. Number 10, Russell Brand. Russell Brand is an English comedian and actor known for his flamboyant style and manner. Brand has received 3 British comedy awards: Best Newcomer, Best Live Stand-Up, and the award for Outstanding Contribution to Comedy. After beginning his career as a comedian and later becoming an MTV presenter in the UK, in 2004 Brand gained a role as the host of Big Brother's Big Mouth, a Big Brother spin-off. But back in 2014, Brand triggered an immense national controversy after explicitly bashing the Queen and the royal family in his book Revolution. In the book, Brand highlighted, in England we have the Queen for F's sake. We have to call her things like Your Majesty, like she's all majestic. She's just a person. Also adding, Your Highness, what the F is that? What? She's high up, above us, at the top of a class pyramid on a shelf of money with her own face on it. Number 9, Danny Boyle. Danny Boyle is an English director and producer. He's known for his work on films including Shallow Grave, Trainspotting and its sequel T2 Trainspotting, The Beach, 28 Days Later, Sunshine, Slumdog Millionaire, 127 Hours, Steve Jobs, and Yesterday. But while speaking with The Guardian back in 2013, the director highlighted how he believed that the monarchy should be abolished, and how if the British public still wished for a royal family, then the only fair way to go about that should be through a public election. Boyle stated, I think the pressure on them is utterly impossible, as recent events show. It's a ludicrous spotlight they're under. You can still have a royal family if you like, but actually have an elected head of state. Number 8, Colin Firth. Colin Firth is an English actor. He was identified in the mid-1980s with the Brit pack of rising young British actors, undertaking a challenging series of roles, including leading roles in A Month in the Country, Tumbledown, and Valmont. His portrayal of Mr. Darcy in the 1995 television adaptation of Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice led to widespread attention. However, despite having done an outstanding job portraying Queen Elizabeth II's father in The King's Speech, the actor has previously spoken up about his doubts with the nature of the royal family. During a CNN interview, Firth highlighted how, despite their good morals, he just couldn't agree with the totalitarian way in which the royals came into power. The actor stated, I really like voting, it's one of my favorite things, before later adding how unelected bodies were a problem for him. Number 7, Johnny Marr. Johnny Marr is an English musician, songwriter, and singer. He first achieved fame as a guitarist and co-songwriter of The Smiths, who were active from 1982 to 1987. He has since performed with numerous other bands and embarked on a solo career. Born in Manchester to Irish parents, Marr formed his first band at the age of 13. The Smiths attained commercial success and were critically acclaimed with Marr's jangle pop guitar style becoming distinctive of the band's sound, but separated in 1987 due to personal differences. Since then, Marr has been a member of The Pretenders, Electronic, Modest Mouse, and The Cribs, and has become a prolific session musician, working with names such as Pet Shop Boys, Talking Heads, Brian Ferry, and Hans Zimmer. However, in a 2011 interview with NME magazine, Marr said he has a few problems with the monarchy, from serious to less serious. One thing about the Queen that bugs Marr, her resting bleach face. Why does she have to deal with her subjects with such a dour face? Surely her life can't be that hard, he said. When asked if he'd accept an honor or title from Her Majesty, such as a knighthood or being named a member of the Order of the British Empire, Marr replied, F no. Number 6, Honor Blackman. Honor Blackman was an English actress known for the role in The Avengers, Goldfinger, Shaleko, and Jason and the Argonauts. She's also known for a role as Laura West in the ITV sitcom The Upper Hand. In 2014, she was offered the chance to become a CBE, Commander of the British Empire, but she turned down the honor. They rang you beforehand and asked if you'd like to accept, and I think they were quite shocked when I declined, she said. but since I'm a Republican, I thought it would be somewhat hypocritical to pop up to the palace. Number 5, Noel Gallagher. Noel Gallagher is an English singer, songwriter, and musician. He was a chief songwriter, lead guitarist, and co-lead vocalist of the rock band Oasis until their split in 2009. After leaving Oasis, he formed Noel Gallagher's High Flying Birds, and he is one of the most successful songwriters in British music history. As a writer of 8 UK #1 singles, and co-writer of a further #1, and the sole or primary writer of 10 UK #1 studio albums, he is widely considered one of the most influential songwriters in the history of British rock music, cited by numerous major subsequent artists as an influence. In a comedic article posted by the Rolling Stone detailing the extensive list of things that Gallagher has been mad at, there's a quote of him outlining his violent wishes for the royal family. The singer stated, quote, "I wouldn't wish the royal family dead, just seriously maimed. I'd take a couple legs off." Number 4, Jeremy Corbyn. Jeremy Corbyn is a British politician who served as a leader of the opposition and leader of the Labour Party from 2015 to 2020. On the political left of the Labour Party, Corbyn describes himself as a socialist. He's been a member of Parliament for Islington North since 1983. Corbyn sits in the House of Commons as an independent, having had the whip removed in October 2020. But he was overwhelmed by the media in 2015 after he refused to sing God Save the Queen during a Battle of Britain memorial event. And in 2017, an old interview was unearthed in which he called for the royal family to be dissolved. I think it's time that we just move on and said, when the Queen completes her reign, wouldn't that be an appropriate time to call it a day and have an elected head of state, he told GMTV. Number 3, Eddie Izzard. Edwards is an English stand-up comedian, actor, and activist. Her comedic style takes the form of what appears to the audience as rambling, whimsical monologues in self-referential pantomime. She starred in the 2007 television series The Richest, and has appeared in numerous films including Ocean's 12, Ocean's 13, Shadow of the Vampire, The Cat's Meow, and Valkyrie. But back in 2014, she spoke up about her disagreement on hereditary privilege to The Independent as she made her claims against the royal family. Quote, "I am not into monarchy. Hereditary privilege is crazy to me. We should widen the gene pool and elect a head of state for 5 years. Number 2, Stacey Solomon. Stacey is an English singer and television personality. She finished in 3rd place on the 6th series of The X Factor in 2009, and won the 10th series of I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here in 2010. Her debut single, a cover of Driving Home for Christmas, was released in 2011, followed by her debut studio album, Shy, in 2015. In 2016, Solomon presented I'm a Celebrity Extra Camp and began appearing as a panelist on the ITV talk show Loose Women. But Stacey made headlines after footage of her criticizing the royal family resurfaced just in time for the Queen's Platinum Jubilee. The 2018 clip showed Solomon on the British daytime show Loose Women expressing her confusion as to why so many people obsess over the royal family when in reality they are just exactly the same as any other person. Solomon stated, quote, "I don't get why we're so obsessed with these humans that are exactly the same. It could be us four sitting there, I just don't get it." She later added, "I would work hard if the country paid me to have like 12 houses and work really hard." Now coming in at number 1, Daniel Radcliffe. Daniel Radcliffe is an English actor. He rose to fame at age 12 when he began portraying Harry Potter in the film series of the same name, and has held other various film and theater roles. Over his career, Radcliffe has received various awards and nominations. Radcliffe made his acting debut at age 10 in the BBC One television film, David Copperfield, followed by his feature film debut in The Tailor of Panama. Over the next decade, he played the role of Harry Potter in 7 sequels, ending with Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2 in 2011. During this period, he became one of the world's highest paid actors and gained worldwide fame, popularity, and critical acclaim. However, at a 2017 interview with Daily Beast, he stated that his patriotism has nothing to do with the royals. Radcliffe stated, quote, "I am not a royalist, not at all. I'm definitely a Republican in the British sense of the word. I just don't see a use of the monarchy, though I'm a fierce patriot. I'm proud of being English, but I think the monarchy symbolizes a lot of what's wrong with the country." And that is all. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.